Just give me a minute. All right. So this is the day two file, and I'm just giving again save as, and then keep this as day three. Okay. So just save it as a day three file and then keep it. Okay. Since it's been a long week, I mean, there is a long gap. Right. Let me just reiterate the things. Okay. So initially what we have done, we loaded each of the individual files from different folders, like the different continents, which is Asia, Africa, Europe, Oceania, NAM, SAM. Okay. And while we have loaded, um, sorry. So while we have loaded each one of the table from the folders, right? So for each one of the table that we have loaded, we have added a continent column, and this continent column is again denoted by each of the individual continent that we have loaded the table. Let's say if it is Asia, we have loaded for Asia, like Africa, it is for Africa, right? So on a nutshell, this is what we have done on a data in terms of loading that from the Excel file. And along with it, while we are also loading, as I have explained, by default, each one of the table, when you load any data into the Power Query editor, so you will see these three, let's say the four different kinds of steps: source, navigation, promoted header, and then change type. So by default, these will be coming up here. However, we have removed the change type because I don't want the Power Query editor to automatically identify the type of the column, and wherein I'm interested to do this more on a later stage. So likewise, we have done for all the remaining other files. And If you remember the Power Query editor, as I told you, the minute things makes matters a lot here. For example, if I want to change the type of a particular column, or let's say the data type of the column, so this is a place where I'm going to click and choose click on this particular thing. So you will be able to see the different data types of the column. Okay, and the teal color here indicates that there are no blanks, no errors in this row, and all the cells within this particular column are filled with some data. So that's what the teal color indicates. And also when you load a table, how do you identify the total number of columns or the rows? This is a place where you can identify the total number of columns and then the rows. And the column profiling based on 1,000 rows and the entire data set. So based by default, it will be based on 1,000 row. But yes, if you want to make sure the profiling should be based on the entire data set. So this is a place where you're gonna click the link and change this to the entire data set. So this will help you to load the entire data set. And along with that, um, so as I told you, like these are the applied steps. And whenever you don't see any applied step here, you are going to the view tab and then click on the query settings. That will help you again put this window back, the applied steps, so that you can see what are the different kinds of steps that you have applied. And this is what we have done so far. And post which we consolidated all these files into a single table, which is called the consolidated. So on the consolidated, we have done a lot of information like source. Again, the source is nothing but this is coming up from the different continents. So while you're consolidating, ensure that your data structure is the same across all the regions so that you will see the consistency over it. For example, each one of the continent have 11 columns. So when you consolidate, you should also see initially there are 11 columns for this data. So this will help you to indicate, yes, there is no deviation in the column names or anything, and it remains the same. And post which we also have loaded three more informations like country master and USD converter, and then the KPI. So these are the three additional informations that we have brought in, and these additional informations will help you in again identifying or let's say building your data set. So this is your country master wherein you have got the country names against each of the country code, and similarly you have got the USD converter for each continent, for each currency, what is the converter value, and KPIs. You have got extra information like average cost, currency, has table booking, online delivery, all these kind of different things. So with this, what we have done using the merged query, initially we brought what is the country name, and then using another query, we have brought all the continent name. And so far, this is what we have done till here. Okay. Besides this, what we also have learned, besides this, what we also have learned is the cardinality. Okay. If you remember the cardinality that we have spoken about the one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, many-to-many, and many-to-one. So one-to relationship, just to give you again a background on that, the left-hand side table, all the rows are unique and they are connecting to the same level of rows on the right-hand side as a unique, then it is one-to-one. Left-hand side, all the unique rows are getting connected to multiple rows on the right-hand side. That is one-to-many. Left-hand side, if there are duplicate rows, okay, not the unique rows, but there are duplicate rows and are connecting to another table on the right hand side as a unique table, or let's say by each one of the column as a unique in nature, then it is many to one. Duplicate rows from the left hand side table connecting to the duplicate rows on the right hand side table, it is called the many to many relationship. Okay, which you will see this on the model view. So on the model view, we have identified how you can see what are the different kinds of relationships by using the manage relationships method. When you click on the box, you will see different kinds of relationships where you can build. Similarly, this is a data view. where you can see all the information that you have loaded so far. Whatever the information that you have loaded will keep an information. You'll be able to see all this information here. Okay, so you will see work on the data view more down the line. Whenever you want any extra information to be added, you are going to work on this place. And on the report view is a place where you are identifying or where you are creating your visuals. And so once you create your visuals here, so this is a place where you can create a report, and you will have the canvas, and from using the canvas area, dragging the fields from your right hand side from any one of the table and plotting onto the canvas, you can create some beautiful visualizations. So on a nutshell, this is what we have looked at so far. Okay, and I believe there is one data I think we haven't done. I wanted to see this. I remember teaching this, but I didn't do. I'm not sure. Maybe my bad. All right. What we have brought is we brought in a data structure from the consolidated table, which is the continent and sorry, the country data, and we brought the country data onto the canvas. So as I told you, by default, the moment once you see the country names or city names or anything which can be plotted onto the map, so during that time, you should see the map gets automatically updated. And I mean, this converts into a world map. So this is a world map visual that you are able to see here on the screen right now. Post which we have done, we also did see some formatting on the um, maps, right? And besides this, what we have done, we brought another visual called the card visual. So this we have brought in using the restaurant ID. As I told you, basically the restaurant ID, it is in the text format, right? The moment once you brought in here, it also showed it in the number format. So what we have done, we did the changes to that, and click on this section under the fields and then change this to the count distinct, and so that you should be able to see the total number of restaurants across the locations. Okay, so from here on, we are going to add a few more visuals. Let's say we are going to add a few more cards here and then see how the map or how the behavior of the map exists. But prior to that, what I also have, may maybe I have not executed on my screen, or probably we might not have done. If not, just take this as a repetitor. So next to this total number of restaurants, I also wanted to bring another four more visuals here, which are card visuals. What are the card visuals that represent? So one, the total average cost across the regions, average cost of the dishes across the region. And the third thing, total number of cuisines that they are offering. And the fourth thing will be the average rating given for each of this restaurant. Okay, so these are the another four more visuals to bring in. So let's try to understand the average cost of dishes across the region. So for that, what is going to happen? If I observe my data, okay, I have the restaurant ID and the country code, city, and so on. So if I look at this data carefully, okay, and move to the right hand side, so I have a place here that say average cost for the two people. This is 400, 200, etc. And the KPA currency. So a currency which denotes for the cost of the both of the people. I mean, for cost of the two, it has been updated here. Okay, so you can see across a lot of currencies. However, my intention is instead of showing all this in a different currency levels, I want to show in a common currency level called the dollar. Okay, so for that, what I need to do for the very first thing, I need to create a relationship or I need to bring in the USD converter value, and from the USD converter value, I need to bring in a new value altogether. Only then I should be able to see what is the cost for average two people in USD dollar. Okay. So for that, what is that I need to do? Since I don't have any USD converter value here, first I need to bring the USD converter. So if you look at the USD converter value, we have got a certain table which we already have created. Okay. Or which we loaded from our Excel file, the continent and the currency and the two USD. So first thing, let's bring up the USD value. So how do I bring the USD value? I'm going back to the transform data, and I'm going back to the consolidated. Okay. So first thing what I need to do is I need to create a new column here on the consolidated table. So how do I create or get a data from the other table? Using the merge query. So click on the merge query. I need to bring it onto the consolidated table. I have chosen the consolidated and then click on the merge query. And in the consolidated table, keeping consolidated table on the top, I'm choosing the USD converter below. No, this time what I need to match?
Both continent and currency.
Both continent and currency. So I'm going to select the continent on the top and then select the continent below. The second thing, I need to hold the control key on my keyboard and then use the KPI currency on the top and then KPI currency on the below. So this will create a connectivity between both the tables. And now click on OK. So I'm going to expand this column and I'm just going to remove the continent and currency and then retain only 2 USD here and then keep this aside. So here I have got a currency converter value. Now at this step, what is that I'm going to do apart from doing this merge query? I want to, since I have certain columns that I want to do some math calculation over it. So I'm changing this particular column USD converter to the decimal number. And similarly, I'm also changing the KPI.quotes this to a whole number. Similarly, the aggregate rating, I'm changing this to a decimal number. And the KPI cost for 2, I'm also changing this to the whole number. All right. So I have done changes to 4 different columns. So you can see USD converted to USD and then aggregate rating, votes, and then KPI cost for 2. So these are the points that I have converted. Okay. So once after I have done the change type, so I'm going to click on the close and apply again. Since I have done some changes to the data set, I'm again bringing this back onto the Power BI screen. Okay. So this time when I load this data back onto the Power BI screen, okay, on the right hand side of the fields value under the consolidated section, now you might have observed against each of certain data where we have converted into a numbers and the whole number, probably you could see that there is a sigma symbol which has been updated. Okay, there's a sigma symbol which is updated for certain column. So let's just take a look. What does this sigma symbol mean? When I get into the data view mode and go to the consolidated, okay, for example, let's pick up one of the table here, which is KPI aggregate average cost for the two. So this is in the number format. Since it is in the number format, you can see the data type denotes that this is a whole number and the format is also in the whole number. All right. Since this is in the number format, Power BI does automatically do a summarization called sum. Like the moment once you drag this data anywhere, by default, this will give you or represent the value in terms of sum by default. If you want that by default thing to be changed to an average or to consider a minimum or a maximum or a count of it or a count distinct of it, this is a place where you can go and change at any point. Okay. This is a place where you are going to do the changes.
Okay.
Does this affect your results? No, it doesn't affect your result. It is just going to do the representation by default in the sum. However, there are chances where you can still work around on a different ways. So now let's take a look at the second bit. Since you already have done all the formatting and you already have created every formatting here, what I would suggest at this point in time, I'll just select this file, do a control C and then do a control V. And I'm just going to select this visual to the right hand side. Okay. And what I'm going to do is select this visual and I'll just remove the data, whatever I have updated. And I'm just going to bring average aggregate rating. However, if you still look at this, I have brought in the USD converter value, but I still didn't get the value that could be represented in a USD converter. What does that mean? So in the data view, if you see, I have the USD converter value, and along with that, I also have the average cost for the two, but which is in the different currency. But I haven't still brought into the normal currency or the other currency, USD converter currency. So how do I do that? Or what is the other next step that I need to do if I have to bring it that way? So first thing, what we can do is let's create one more new column here within the data table. Let's create a new table here. Okay. Instead of doing it on the Power BI or so Power Query, let's do it on the Power Query directly. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create on a new column. Okay. In the data view, I clicked on the consolidated table. Okay. And on the consolidated table, I'm going to click on the new column. So click on the new column. It will ask you like, what is that statistics that you want to denote? So here I'm going to say USD conversion, or let's say cost in USD. I'll just mention this as cost in USD. Okay. After I mention this cost in USD, all I'm going to do is to select the columns, which is um, KPI, average cost for the two, into again consolidated table. Within the consolidated table, again I'm using the KPI. Where is the USD converter? right? Consolidated. So this is the average cost for the two into the USD converter value is what I'm expecting the results to update. So when I select this, you can see here, there is an data which is updated here, cost in USD for 2. So this is converted into the USD value. Okay. So the way you have written the formula or you added a new column there in Power Query Editor earlier, you can also do the same thing on the Power BI. So that's why I'm just retained this concept here to see how you can write a new column. Okay. So this is where you can write just a new column by doing the product between two different columns. And now I go back to the report view and I can see that there will be a new column which is created on the top. So this is the cost in USD. Okay. So I'm going to bring this cost in USD onto the restaurant. So I could see again, by default, it gives me the summarization value. So I'm changing this back to the average. So this is how I have achieved the average cost of two people in USD dollar across the entire world, how it works. Yes, I'm going to do changes onto the title. So how do I do the changes in the title? I'll go to the general, click on the title and just mention this as cost in USD. And I'm saving the report. Right. Just give it a try and see if you're able to do this. All right, that's good. So yeah, I believe that now you are able to see this number that what I am thinking about 10.82. Okay, but the second challenge will be again on that number. Well, once you see the number here, so you should also again understand. So when we have this 10.82 here, okay, although it represents the cost in USD for two, it will always be good if you're representing the same thing with a dollar value. Okay, so when you have to keep this in a dollar value, like how do you represent the same thing in a dollar value is what it's not a great challenge, but it's going to be just a very simple thing. So what we are going to do is I'm going to the data tab. On the data tab, in the format, as I told you, in the format, the data type is showing as a decimal number, but the format is just showing the general. So I will change this back to the accounting, or let's say I can still select this dollar directly. Okay. The moment once I select the dollar, you will observe the dollar symbols are getting added here onto the column, right? So now you can see the dollars are added. However, on the decimal part, it will be like more clumsy. Okay. So I will also fix the decimal part here to 2. So 2 steps I have done. Go to the data tab, get data view, and then select this last column and then change this format to the currency. And I gave the fixed decimal as 2. Now again, go back to the report view. You should see the data is consistently now moving. I mean, the data is consistent. Only the format it is added with a dollar symbol and it gives you with 2 decimal points perfectly. Okay. Now, what I'm going to tell you. So if you have done this, okay. So anyways, it just takes me around 2 more minutes to do another 2 more visuals. Okay. Now let me give you the task. Give it a try and then see if you're able to do this. Okay. So I'm tried the task here. Create and create a name card. Sorry, create a card visual with um, average of aggregate rating, and then similarly create a card visual with average of aggregate rating, and then um, since we don't have this, okay, count distinct count distinct of cuisines. Okay, so create a card visual with average of the aggregate rating and count distinct of the cuisines. So you have the cuisines here and you also have the aggregate rating. Just create 2 more visuals and then see. And for your check, um, what I'll do is just give 2 minutes. I mean, I'll give you a few minutes. Just do it and then see if you're able to do the same thing. Meanwhile, I'll also plot and keep the results so that once I share the screen, you will see the results back. Okay, just give it a try and then see how you can able to do it. All right. So let me share my screen. I guess now you should be seeing the numbers like this. Just give me a confirmation if you're able to see the same numbers. Right? Good. I really appreciate that you guys were able to see the same thing. And so if you see the same numbers, just give it a try by click on any one of the bubble on the top. Okay. And the moment once you click on the bubble on the top, you should be able to see the reactions. The same thing that you can see on the cards. So you can click on any one of the bubble. You should be able to see the data from all the different cards. Keep changing. So this is what you call it as an interactive um, map visuals with your card visuals. All right, very good. So at any given point in time, if you want to again switch back to the original numbers, nothing to worry. Just click on outside anywhere of the bubble, anywhere. Okay, here in any place that will set right with the data. Okay, this is gonna set right with the data. Now, just take a look at this visual again and remember. So keep your attention over it here and do not try to deviate your attention because these two steps, what I'm going to teach you again, is something new. But again, how do you interactively work on a visual map is what you're going to look at. So first thing, since we already have plotted the countries where you can see, we have already have plotted the different countries here. Okay. Now that what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring cities onto the table, onto the map. And the moment you see here, observe this portion more. Okay. So when I bring the city onto the map, okay, this portion, now you can see that there is, so when I click on the map visual, okay, now you can see that there are few more arrow marks which have been added here onto the map visual. And these arrow mark here represents the hierarchy. Okay, so these are called the hierarchy. Like we have level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So the moment once you keep adding more number of levels, that is what is called the hierarchy. Like how we keep or maintain our body, head, neck, right? So similarly, this is the same way we are going to work on. So it's a hierarchy. That is where you are following up. So the hierarchy that you have followed here is the country and then city. And also let me bring the uh, locality here where you have got the locality. I'm going to bring the locality also down. Okay. So now I have got three different levels, which is country, city, and then locality. Okay. Select the map visual under the location. I have brought this in a level. Now, how does this actually work? Whenever you create a hierarchy, remember that the second switch should always be on. Okay. This is the second switch. I mean to say this is the second switch. Okay. So this should always be on. So what does happen if I do this with on? Okay. What does this happen with this? While I switch on this, what does it actually work? So for example, now when I click on this, okay, let's say for example, I go to the India. Okay, I clicked on the India bubble. You will observe the map is zoomed into the India. And again, within that, let's say for example, I'm going to select um, Mumbai location. Okay. So when I click on the Mumbai location, again, it zooms inside the Mumbai location and it will show me what are the different kinds of places I have and where are these restaurants are being located. And again, when I click on this West, yeah, this will give me the statistics of the Borivali West. However, okay. After you have one more locality, if you are adding another hierarchy, then it is going to zoom in. Otherwise around it will not. So now once we have done this, if I want to switch back, I'll click on the drill up. So this will again go back. And again, when I click on one more arrow, which is a drill up, it will go up again. Similarly, let's say, for example, when I go to the United States, so I'll have United States. Within that, I have a lot of cities. And when I click on any one of the city, it will zoom into that particular area. Okay. And again, click on the drill up. This will go back. Now just give a try on the hierarchy and then see, switch on the button and then see you're able to experience the same thing. Right. So what we are going to do right now is I'm going to bring the continents here back. So this will give you more precise look over what we are doing. Okay. So what I'm doing this time, I'm going to bring the continent onto the canvas, keep it here. Okay. And by default, since it converts into a map, I'm not going to put it into the map. Rather, I'm keeping this as a slicer. You would have used the slicers in Excel very well long back, but the slicer here are also much organized. But what I'm going to do here on the slicer bit, so first thing I brought the continent and then changed this to a slicer, and post which I'm selecting the slicer, go to the format your visual, and then under the slicer setting, I'm changing the orientation from horizontal to vertical so that when I keep this or when I contract this, this becomes much more easier. Okay. Like I'm just going to keep something a bit of formatting on this. So this is what the formatting I have done. And post which, again on the selection bit or anything, I'll teach you the selection later. So just do a formatting and then give a slicer header. When I'm just removing the slicer header, play around with this, format your visual, and then let me know. Bring the slicer for a minute and then do the format your visual and give a good look. Take a minute and then do it. All right, that's wonderful if you guys have done that. Now let's add few more things onto that. Don't worry that I were just working only on one particular visual, but yes, I'm just going to show you how beautifully you can arrange things here. So right now what I'm going to do is, since we have added the slicer, okay, so let's say for example when I click on the Europe this time, you can see this will zoom in directly to the place where you can see the countries there, and click on this again, you can go back and look into the cities. So this is how it works in. And the moment you can click on uh, I mean, you click on the drill up arrow and then again you click on the drill up arrow. So you are unable to go back to the place here directly. What we are going to do here is, on the slicer setting, I'm going to select the slicer, go to the format your visual, and under the slicer setting, there is an option called the selection. Okay. The selection will actually tell you in two different things. Right now, this is in the single select. So which means you can only select one, and also the multi select. So I can use control button and then select two more continents as well. Okay. But the option here says select all. When I click on the select all, you can see the select all option has also been updated. So when I click on the select all the continents will be selected. And when I select all the continents will not be selected. Okay. So at any given point in time, I can hover the mouse on any one of the continent like this, click on this, and at any given point in time, if you want to come back, you can just come back here like this by double click on the select all. Okay. So this will help you to toggle around between the complete map visual. So this is on the select all. Okay. Then what I'm also going to do is, I'm also going to click on the insert this time. Okay. So I'm going to click on the insert tab. Under the insert tab, under the elements group, I have images. Okay. I have an option called the image. So I'm going to click on the image and take me to the data set. Within that, I have a folder called the images. So I've given you lot of images here. Okay, I've given you a lot of images. So just for an identification, I'm just using two different visuals here, like Zomato 1 and Zomato 2. I'm selecting Zomato 1. Okay, I click on the Zomato 1. So you will see that an image of the Zomato 1 symbol appears. So I'm going to reduce this like this, and I can keep it here this way. Similarly, I go to the insert tab, click on the image, and again click on the next image, which is Zomato 2. And this time I click on OK. And again, I'm going to reduce the same thing and keep it here. And like this, I did that. Okay. I'll tell you how you can play around with these images as well. But not of too much of animation, but you're just going to do it. So give a feel like this. The moment once you give a feel like this, this gives you more look in a way how you are creating your, or it just elevates your um, creativity. It elevates your creativity. Okay. So, bring the select all option within the slicer, and after that using the insert image options, try to bring both the things. So once you bring, then we are going to look at how this will be of easy and how this will be helpful for you. Okay, the moment once I do it, you will understand how it will be easy and why we are doing this way. I mean, there could be a reason for everything we do, isn't it? So there could be a reason for everything we do. So you will see the purpose of why we are doing this way in short while. Okay, just add these pictures and then let me know once you are able to do it. All right, that's great. So now you might wonder like what these tiny people are doing here. Okay, they are not doing anything, they're not delivering anything for us. However, they are being put here so that you will see some sort of action. Like what kind of action? Since you have got only one particular page here, okay, since you have got only one particular page, now for now you can just see, just take a look at the screen. I'm going to select this particular image, and the moment once I select the image on the right hand side, you can see the style and then the action. Okay, so I'll switch on the action and I will say, instead of type back, I'm going to say that go to the page navigation. I'm using a page navigation, and the destination of the page navigation should be something around the home page. This is what my expectation is. Okay, the destination of this should be like a home page. So the moment once I click on this person, it should take me to the home page. Okay, since we are on the same page now, it is not showing up anything. And yes, it doesn't make sense. Even when I click on this, it doesn't make any sense. But you are going to see the same thing on the next page. How? So for now, I'll just keep this aside, and I'm going to make a duplicate of this page. Okay, I'm going to make a duplicate of this page. Instead of duplicate of the home page, I'll put this as a detail page. Okay, I'm mentioning this as a detail page. Now you can see on the detail page, if I go here, select this guy and then click on the action, and now here I will see I can select the home page. And again, the same thing, when I go back to the home page, I'm selecting the second visual, click on the action, and then say this page navigation and give the destination to the detail page. So this, in the detail page, when I click on this, it will go to the previous page. And if I am the home page, when I click on this, it will go to the detail page. However, what you also need to remember, in Power BI, these visuals here will not work directly. So which means when I click on this, it will not go to the page. For this to work, I always need to click on the control. Okay, use the control and then click on this, then it will take me to the detail page. Click on the control and then click on this guy, it will take me to the home page. So what you need to understand here, whatever you do on the Power BI desktop application, in order for you to review, you always needs to handle or rely on the control button. Otherwise around, you will not be able to see anything here. Okay, you're not going to see anything. You are going to rely on the control key and then click on the images. So this will take you to the next places like this. Okay, give it a try and then see if you are able to do the same thing. Yeah, sorry, unmute. No, I'm still not doing anything. I just wanted to see this. Right. So now we are done on the home details page. Okay, we'll go on to the detail page now, and let's do one thing. Now I'm just going to remove these card visuals here. I'm going to remove these card visuals. Okay, I'm just going to delete it. I'm going to retain the same structure, whatever I have brought in with the slicers. Okay, what I do, this visual here on the world map, whatever we have created, I'm going to convert this into a table visual, which is on the second page. Just below the map, next to the slicer, there is a table and a matrix table. Now let me cover up these two here first. Once it is completed, then we can move on to each one of the individual visuals so that you will see, you will learn more number of visualizations. Reason why I'm doing work on the table and matrix now, this will take a bit time, and probably yes, you might also feel like why these many number of formatting kinds are there, but this could be an interesting topic. Okay, so I'm going to use this um, visual here, the world visual. I'm going to change this world visual from the world visual to table visual here. Okay, so I click on the table visual. The moment once I click on the table visual, you will see that country, city, and then locality is already been updated. So I'm going to remove the locality also. I'm going to retain only the country and then city. Since we already have created the hierarchy, we have converted that. Now, the moment when I converted this to a table visual, you will notice that you are going to notice that these hierarchy is not being updated here. Okay, it is just being having, it is just having only the country and then city here. So then what we can do, I'm going to add few more statistics, like the statistics that we did see on the home page. For example, I'm going to bring the total number of restaurants ID. Okay, and under the column section, I'm going to choose this as count string, whatever the statistics we have brought in. Okay, the count cost in the USD for both. So I'm going to bring the cost in USD, and this time I'm just going to put this as an average. And then similarly, I'm also going to bring the aggregate rating and change the aggregate rating to the average. And then finally, the total number of cuisines. And I'm going to change the cuisines list from here to count testing. So now I have brought the same statistics over here. So with the checkpoint, you can see the statistics here 9550, 10.82, 2.67, 1825 should match with your statistics from the home page. Okay. So this is a home page on a summary we have given. Now we are giving the detailed page, but we are giving this in a table way. We are just giving it a table way. Okay. So when we do this on a table way, okay, let's say first thing, convert this into a table visual and then keep it ready. So from here, you are going to spend more number of time on your visualization, and probably yes, you might feel uh, maybe exhausted looking at so many formattings that it is offering, but still yes, it could be for a good cause. Okay, so just convert this to the table visual and then add up these two four columns like what we have done and make sure it is ready. Then we can move on to the formatting of the visual. How does it actually look like on the table visual? It just takes around 3 minutes. Just do it and then see. Lisa, you're unable to unmute. Is that what you're talking? I was practicing the same with my personal report. I'm not able to share on my which I was waiting for this class. Okay, fine. I'm not really sure like what if you're practicing the same thing on your personal report, and if you're looking for options, probably yes, we can take a look at the options. All right. So now we have got the table data. So on the table information, let's just see what are the different kinds of format visuals are being updated. Now, as I told you, you will see a lot of observations here. Now, let me give you a precaution about this data. The more data you're adding to your table visual, the more complex you're going to just enter onto the formatting of your visual. Probably if you're adding, you might be so excited because it's simply like, the first time you draw a table, you'll feel very good. And then you try to add another two more columns or three more columns, four more columns, and then do some formatting. You feel like uh, getting so excited like a kid, okay? Like you can keep on drawing more number of shapes. That's what you keep doing it on the table. But only on the Power BI, it becomes more and more complex in nature because the more number of columns that you are going to bring, the more formatting that you might land up. Let's see what are the things. I have got around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns of the data. So let me start working directly onto the format your visual, because on the columns, this is what the information I have got. But on the remaining bit, we are going to take a look on the format of your visuals first. On the format your visual, the first thing you're going to identify, okay? So you're going to spend more of your time on the visual, but not on the general. As I told you, like in the general, you're going to see very few options like the title, properties, effects, which are like the same thing for the remaining other visuals. But on the visual side, you're going to see a lot of formats. So let's see one by one what are the different formats. The very first thing, if you're sick and tired of doing so much of the formatting on the table and you want to just keep it very simple, then you can rely on the style presets, where you will see on the style presets, the moment once I change one of the style, you will witness how it is going to get changed here. Okay, so this is called minimal, where you can see one has a bold header, alternating rows, flashy rows.
Shrikant, please share the screen.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
sorry,
sorry. We
sorry,
couldn't
sorry.
see.
Okay, sorry. Right, hope you're able to see the screen. So
Yes.
what I'm saying here on this on this bed, so on the table visuals, we have already built in from the format your visual, where we have added more number of columns. But now that we are going to rely only on the format your visual. On the format your visual, what you're going to take a look is the very first thing, as I told you, the visuals in the general. So on the general, you are not going to see more data. This is just going to be the same thing for each one of the visual that you do. But on the visual side, you're going to see more number of options. And the first option that we are going to see is called the style presets, wherein if you want to just use only the style presets, you can use this here by choosing any one of the option here from here. Okay. So if I choose the sparse, this is how it looks like, or condensed, this is how it looks like. But what I do, I'm just keeping it by default, whatever the default are. Either I can keep it as none, and I can start the complete formatting from the scratch. So either you can choose the style presets, or either you can start from the scratch. This is nothing but in your Excel file, where you can see the Excel a table. The moment once you click on the Excel table, you will see something called the table design on the top, where you'll see different kinds of designs, which are so attractive, right? Sometimes you will see with a simple color, sometimes you'll see with a good flashy colors and everything. So it all depends upon the designs that you see on the top, which looks and which are more attractive. So similarly, you can use the same thing on the style presets, where you can see some of the attractive designs which they come up with. And probably yes, it could not be um, liked by everyone. Okay, so there could be fans for certain styles, and So if you are one of them, probably you can rely on the style presets. No, if you're not one of them and you want to create your own style, then you are going to choose the remaining other places where when I scroll down, the next thing that I could see here is the grid line. So grid lines are nothing but where you can see the grid lines here, the horizontal grid lines are also on. So if I switch off them, so the grid lines are gone. Similarly, if I want to switch on the vertical grid lines, I can switch on so that, it gives a bifurcation between column to column. Or if you don't even like this, you can switch off them. And you want to give a border for each of this. Okay. So you can give the border like top, bottom, left, and right. And if you want to give a color, you can. And just take a look if I switch on the borders here. Okay. The option that you will see here on the section. On the section, you will see either it is a column header or a value section or a total section or either all. When I choose all, so just take a look at that here. On the top, you can see the top line, bottom, and then left, and then also on the right hand side. Okay. And you can change the color of this. Let's say I'm giving the reading color and you want to increase the width of this, you can increase or decrease. So this is how you can increase or decrease the width. Or your selection will be only for columns or only for the totals or value section. Also, you can control over it here. Okay. And on the option side, this is like a row padding and the global font size. When I talk about the global font size, you will see the font size will be globally increased. Like when I say global, it is on the entire table. It doesn't mean that whole universe. It is just the entire table. So when I increase the font size like this, this is how it keeps increasing. Okay. And row padding, again, the row padding is nothing but the same, the distance between the rows. So you can increase the row padding like this so that it looks much more better. So these are on the options that you will see on the grids. Okay, this is on the grid view. And now below the grid view, what you are going to see, this is the style preset and then this is a grid. On the values, you are going to see more detailed information. Like let's say, for example, I'm going to change the font of this. So changing the font of this and give Calibri. And then if I want to make it bold, I can make it bold. Or the text color, if I want to choose this black, I'll keep this black like this everywhere. And the background color also the same thing. The alternate text color is nothing but first Australia and the alternate text is this one. So you can change the font of this again. One after the other, you can change the font. But here I'm not doing anything just to maintain the consistency. Okay. So if I give a text wrap on and off based upon the values, okay, the text wrap will be on. So I'm not doing anything on the values. I'm just keeping this aside the same way. On the column headers, the same thing. If I want to maintain the font size, I'm just again doing the font size here. I'll make them bold and the text color, I'll leave the same thing. Text wrap on and off. Yes, you can use it here using these options. Similarly, on the totals. Okay. So totals also you can here on the total side, you will have the option to change this value. I can rename this as a grand total also. And the values and the remaining things remains the same. Maybe if you want to do any changes on this, like let's say the text color to be a red and white color to be something like black, you can do it this way. Or you can make the text color white if you want. Okay. Or if you still feel no, the earlier thing is good, so you can just keep it the same thing. Okay, so this is what you have done so far. Now I'll give you a chance again. Now go back and do it, because and the remaining things will take a bit time. So just work on the style presets, grid, values, column header, and totals. One, two, three, four, five. So work on these five options and then give me a shout once you're ready. Then we'll look into the next bit of this. Okay, that will be much more precise what you are going to work on the table formats. Okay, I want to know, do it's possible to show the bar chart and the table in the same screen? Why not, Lisa? You can show all these things at one place. No problem at all. But you might not be able to have a big table, but yes, you can do it. Fine. We will look
Yes,
into
and only that column heading is not displaying. The names is not there. What to do?
column heading is not displayed.
Yeah, this country master, country city, that one.
Okay, go to the visuals. I mean, go to the select this table visual and then go to the format your visual type
Mm-hmm.
and just see in the column headers if it is something it is switched off or something, or probably the background color or anything would have been changed. Text color and background color are the same. Probably just check this.
Yes, I'll check.
Usually there shouldn't be any such kind of instance where you can not see the column header names. Probably it could have been the same thing. Does it show now?
No, shall I share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I'm able to see the screen.
Don't know what's wrong here.
Go to the top. I think you're go to the top. Scroll to the top.
There, there, that's all.
No, no, your table visual is actually expanded more. That's why. Just bring the visual down. Bring the visual down completely. No, 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 no. You're dragging it. I'm not dragging it. Just bring the visual down. Uh, Then you place the cursor on the border and then drag, put it, bring down anywhere on the border and just bring down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. It has
Okay.
been shown. Yeah, I mean, ideally it shouldn't be like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So now that what we are going to take a look at is, in this case, you are just going to, so far you have done till the column headers and then totals. Okay. Now we are going into the specific column. So this is the place where I have told you what does the specific column gives me the indication. So so far you have done the formatting on the entire table. Okay. Now that what you are going to do is you can also specifically do the formatting only for one particular column out of it. So all the column names are displayed here under the series. Okay. Like country master, city, country code. And below that, you also have an option clear to say apply to header, apply to total, apply to value. So specific column will assume that it can give you the formatting on applying between the values. And when you're applying to the values, you can also apply the same thing to the header. You can also apply the same thing to the total. You can do for all the cases. And when you apply, you will have only three formattings, which is either you can change the text color, background color, or the alignment. For instance, under the country master, I alone want to change this. Okay. So I'm going to apply this to the header and then total. And what I do is I'll keep the text color as um, white color, and then I'll give the background as a red. You see, this is how you can make only that particular column. You can do the changes. And similarly, if you want to do a similar sort of changes to any other column, you can also select the same thing by choosing the series here and again apply your formatting. Okay. So this is your, you can apply a format only to certain column. So that is the option where it says specify the column or a specific column. Okay. Below that, what you'll see here is the cell elements. Now, the cell elements are nothing but you are going to do or apply the changes to, you're going to apply the changes to, sorry. So you're going to apply the changes to one of the particular cell, okay? Any one of the particular cell. Just a minute. So when I say about the cell, this is nothing but your conditional formatting, okay? So based on like a conditional formatting you can use. For example, I'm going to do some changes onto the average cost in the USD, okay? Or let's say the aggregate rating. Let me first pick up the aggregate rating. So on the average aggregate rating, so on the aggregate rating, what is going to happen? When I choose a specific element, cell element, okay? So this is what the cell elements we are talking about. So I'm choosing the aggregate rating here, and then let me change the font color based upon some data. So when I click on the font color, you can see the font colors are automatically changed here. And this is a basic conditional formatting, what it is automatically updated. Now, to get into that conditional formatting, so I'll click on this FX button. And when I click on the FX button, so here it will open the conditional formatting window. Now, what are the things that you are going to learn on the conditional formatting here? So the basic thing which has already been applied, it is called the gradient style. The basic thing it is already applied, it is called the gradient style. Okay. So instead of the gradient style, I always prefer to go to the rules so that it is easy for me to control any data, and then click on the apply values to. And here, what field should we base this on? So this should be based upon, I'm not going to change anything because I have already chosen the aggregate rating. However, the summarization, I'm going to keep it as an average instead of the sum. Okay. And from here, I'm going to apply the rules. What are the rules? I would say if the value is greater than or equal to, and then instead of 0, I would mention, sometimes if there is an aggregate rating which is below 0, also again, I need to write some more condition. So instead of that, what I'm going to do is I will set this number that keep this minimum. Okay, keep this minimum. So for keeping this minimum, I'll just mention M. So it will say it gives you minimum, and this should be the number. What does it say? If the value is greater than or equal to the minimum number and lesser than, instead of 0, I would just give around 3. Okay, 3 is my base. Then this should be in um, red in color. So I'm not going to use this red. Let's say I'm going to use a dark red here. So I'm going to choose a dark red here. Oh, come on. So I'm choosing a dark red color. Okay. And then I'm going to add one more new rule. And then this time I would say if the value is greater than or equal to 3 in number and less than or equal to 4 in number, then this should be somewhere in the um, golden color. I'll just keep this. And the next rule says if this is greater than or equal to 4 and less than or equal, here less than or equal to, I will say max. Okay, then let it show in the green color. So I'm going to put the green color here and then click OK. So I'll just put this in the window so that when you are doing, you will also match accordingly so that you will also get some more idea, and then click on OK. So the moment once I click on OK, you will identify that all the ratings have been updated here automatically. You see there is a red rating, which is 1.87. And similarly, somewhere you might have, if there is some yellow color. Okay, so between 3 and 4, it should be yellow in color. So something would have been missed. Values greater than 3 and then less than 4. And then this should be the number of minimum. Right. Now you can see the numbers are perfect. Okay. So this is how it should be, like 3, between 3 and 4, the numbers is golden. Above 4, it is green. Below 3, it is red in color. So this is a basic conditional formatting that you can apply on the um, table format. Likewise, you have another few more conditional formatting, but give a try on this particular bit and then see if you're able to do the same thing. Like go to the um, cell elements, and then you're going to choose the average of the KPI aggregate weighting, and then you're gonna keep the font color here, the same thing. So for this, you're just keeping this minimum number, and then this is max number. I'm going to pick up this one. I'll put it on the chat window. Just see this. Give it a try and then see if you're able to do the same thing. Guys, done, everyone? Like you guys have done, you were able to do it, the conditional formatting, or you're facing any issue? Mm-mm. No response. What happened? You guys are there? Okay, Lisa says it's done. How about Joyce? You're able to do it, Joyce? All right, that's good. Right, right. That's good. So, which means you're able to see the conditional formatting applied to those steps, and then you're able to see everything properly, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So then let's do one thing. Let's take a 15 minutes break and then regroup. Okay, it's 12:10. Probably we'll just regroup by 12:15, 12:25 something. Okay, just be on time, and then we can cover up the remaining other topics as well. Okay. All right. I'll just take a 15 minutes short break. Okay, all right. So let's resume back. Good. So far you have learned about the conditional formatting, like a basic thing of like how do you change or change the font color. Okay. Now that what you are going to do, take a look at this, let's just do one more round of the conditional formatting, and then we can move on to the next visuals. Okay. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm still going to rely on um, restaurant IDs or okay. So I'm going to rely on the count of the restaurant ID. Okay. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the count of the restaurant ID column under the series. And then this time I'm going to put icons. Okay. I'm going to click on the icons. So the moment I click on the icon, you could see that there is an icon standard here. So I'm going to click on the effects of the icon and right. So if I'm looking at the field values and the sound, okay, this is the restaurant ID, so we don't have it here. So I'm going to rely on the rules again. Click on the values, count of the restaurant ID, count, and uh, the style we can just preset here. Let's say the minimum to 4 and then 4 to n and then 10 to max. So all needs to be represented in the number. So I'm just changing to the number. Right. So I give the number here. So this is what I have done. And then click on OK. So this is where you can see the count of the restaurant ID like this. Okay. And this time what you can also take a look at this the moment once you have done this way. So I'm going to put this here on the screenshot. So when I put this way, you can just filter out for any one of the continent and then see the results. See, give a give a filter on the slicer. You can also see the different kinds of statistics over here. Okay. Just give a try with the icon sets also, and then keep it so that you will be aware of like how you can create an icon set also. Just do this. It shouldn't take much minute. So it should be within a minute. Try giving it, uh, give a try and then see if you're able to do the same thing. All right, that's fantastic. So you guys were able to do it. And the space in between can be used for a different representation. So I'll just give you a sample. See, this is nothing to do here. Very honestly, there is nothing to do here. But I'm just giving you just in case if how you can make a report much more beautiful with the different kinds of statistics. Okay. To be honest, there's nothing, but I'm just showing you how you can do it. So I'll just give you a sample. Probably you can, again, whenever you have time, you can also play around with that and think of something innovative about it. Think of something very, very innovative. So I'll go to the insert tab, and on the image, I'm going to click on the image, and I have also brought few of the continents here. Let's say for Africa. Okay. I bought a world map called the Africa. So I'm going to put this style as fit, and also I'm just going to put this like this. This is just my representation. Like I thought, okay, it makes more sense if I keep it this way. Okay. So similarly, I'm just also going to bring certain images like Asia. And what I'm going to do is on the Asia bit, I'm going to this time use a format your visual using the format painter. I'm just using this. And you can also make sure that, um, or else we can do one more thing. I'll make a copy of this. I'll paste it here, and simply I can change the, no, 81, 84, it's the width. So I'll just remove this, insert, click on the image, Asia, and then I'll select the format painter, and I'm just formatting it, and go to the general and then put the properties 81 and 84. So this will be of the same thing. Likewise, you can assign the same thing for Africa, Asia, Europe, Oceania, NAM, and SAM. Okay. And what else you can do? You can just click on this, click on the action, and then you can switch it on. And this time you can click on the bookmark or page navigation or Q&A or web URL. If it is a web URL, you can just give the web URL here. Like let's say if you are using one of the site, you can just click on the site that will take them to the statistics over it. Or let's say you are creating a different page for Africa or Asia together, then you are going to link up the same table to that particular page so that it will walk them to that particular destination. For instance, Asia. Okay, so we have done till here. I have just created an insert shape and then created an image about the Asia. Okay, so I'm going to create one more page here called Asia. I'm going to create one more page called Asia. Okay, and I'm going to take the and go to the detail page, and then I'm going to select only this bit. Okay, I'm going to select this bit, copy this visuals, and then put it under the Asia. However, when I'm pasting this, it will give me a message. Do you want me to sync or don't sync? Always click on the don't sync so that this acts as an individual page. Okay, so this is what I have done for now. What I did is right, I gave a detail page, copied this visuals from the detail page and put it onto the Asia and gave do not sync. Excuse me. So do it till here. Do it till here. From here, again, we are going to see different kinds of statistics. Okay, different kinds of statistics. What we Lisa have asked, like, can I show two different kinds of visuals at one time, like the bar chart and the table, correct? So we can just see. I can show you a bit of statistics over here. Yeah, do it till here. Whatever I've shown you, we are just going to work on the same thing. Good. So now, just looking into simple kind of statistics here to show how it works in. So for now, my ideology here is I want this page to be dedicated only for the Asia. Okay, that's the very first thing. I want the page to be dedicated only for the Asia. So for that, what I'm going to do is on this page, I'm going to open the filter section. I'm going to open the filter section and then bring on, since the continent has already been here. So I'm going to put this continent back onto the, instead of visual, I'm going to put it on the page. Okay. So instead of visual, I'm going to put this on the filter on this page. And I choose Asia here as a page. Okay. I choose Asia here as a page. Post which, instead of the Asia, instead of the continent here under the field section for the slicer, I'm going to remove this. And then I'm going to put country here. I'm going to put country here. So if you look at the country, you can see, right? So this is probably, I think I need to maintain this little, keep this little far and expand this more so that I can see more number of continents, or let's say more number of countries here like this. Let me explain it one more time. What I have done, I have opened the filter section and brought in the continent onto the filters on this page, and then gave a dedicated filter here called the Asia. And then here I can lock this also so that the filter is locked. So the filters will not get changed. Post which I have closed it. I have closed the filter section. And on the slicers, earlier we have got the continent. Instead of the continent, I brought in the country here, country name. Okay. Put in the country name. Now what I'm concentrating is how do I am figuring like how am I creating my visual here? I'm just showing you how am I creating the visual. Okay. So the reason why I'm going to do this creation of the visual, so that you will be little aware of like how the creativity can be I mean creativity can be brought in on this particular page. How do the creativity can be brought in? Okay. So I'm just trying to create some sort of data so that you'll be a bit of I mean you'll have a kind of ideology. Okay. So from nowhere, how we are going to bring a particular page so that this reflects, much more in a better way. Okay. So the statistics you are going to see on both the cases, just take a look. So first thing, what I'm going to do is with this data here for now, with this data, I'm going to bring the average rate of the, okay, first thing, let me bring the countries, the city also here on the right hand side, left hand side. I'm going to bring the city and I'm changing this back to a slicer. And this time I'm not going to spend more time. So I'm going to use the format painter and then use this format painter slicer for the city slicer. Okay, this is a city slicer. So what is it I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down here like this and then expand it and again expand this little and then contract it. I'm keeping it here like this and doing a bit of tiny changes. Just watch my screen. What am I doing? So I'm not going to touch base anything. Rather, I'm just going to the values. I'm going to interchange the values here from font color to white. And then I'm making the background to red. Okay. And the border, I'm going to just change the border here, like the line width and the color. I'm just making it black. Sorry. Let this be the same thing. I'm going to the general effects, background, the visual border on, and the visual border. I'm going to do the rounding of the corners to 30. And then keeping it here like this. Okay. And now that what I'm going to do is to click on the insert and then bring an image. And I'm just going to bring the Zomato image also and put a style here to fit and bring it like this. And I'm moving this down. Let's say instead of fit, I'll just put it as a normal. and take this back. Or let's say we'll just keep it here directly. That's fine. Okay. And on the slicer, what I'm doing is I'm just going to bring the slicer header here also, so that it's like a title. I'm just going to bring this title. So mention like explore your city, or you can just keep it in a capital letter. Text color, I'll give this reading color, then underline, and then make it middle alignment. थोड़ा सेट नहीं हो रहा है, but ठीक है, कोई problem नहीं. Let's not waste time on this. I'm going to just expand this little more higher. Right. So I'll just keep this like this. Okay. So I've just brought in the explore your city on the left hand side as a filter, and below is the country. And then we have just brought in the Zomato symbol also here, a small tiny symbol, so that it represents the Zomato data points. And here what we are going to do is to bring multiple visuals and then see how these visuals can be updated, or how these visuals can be witnessed. So first thing what I'm going to do is to bring some restaurant names. Okay. So I'm just going to bring the restaurant names here. Okay. And the restaurant names are brought in terms of a table. I'm bringing them in terms of a table. And along with it, I'm also bringing the average aggregate rating. Okay. And instead of sum, I'm just keeping this average. And what I'm going to do is once I bring in, I'm going to sort this. Okay. Here you can see the sorting button for the average aggregate rating. So I'm going to sort this. Okay. And also I'm adjusting the slicer for this. And yes, on the bit of the formatting, probably what you can do is you can just use the same format painter and go to your format painter and go to your Asia, and then you can click on this. So this is how your restaurant name also gets updated. So I'm just going to make some adjustments. Okay. So this is adjustments. I'm just doing it. If you want, you can maintain the conditional formatting, or else if you don't like the conditional formatting, you can also go back and then click on the cell elements, and then you can just, instead of the font color we already have given on the aggregate rating, instead of the font color, you can switch out the font color, and then probably you can just give an icons. So you can change the icons from this style to maybe star or anything, whatever suits. You can apply the same rules the same way like you have done earlier. So let's like minimum number, and then 3 number, and then 3 4 number, number. To max number, and then this is number, and then click on OK. So you will see the ratings have been given accordingly. Okay. And once this is completed, now the next bit what I'm going to do is the same data. Okay, the same data. I know that there are restaurants and what is the rating given for them. Okay, what I'm also trying to take a look at here is what are the top five cuisines that these restaurants will offer me. Okay, what are the top five cuisines that these restaurants also can offer me, or either top five restaurants by cost. For example, instead of cuisines, let's say we are looking at the cost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the cost in USD here. I'm going to bring the cost in USD. Okay. So when I bring the cost in USD, it ideally shows me in a um, visual format. Okay. So this is a column chart, clustered column chart it is giving me. Instead, what I would say on the x-axis, okay, by cuisines, I'm going to bring by cuisines. Okay. So this is of too much of information. I know this is of too much information we have brought in. Okay. Top five cuisines. So just slowly take a look. How is that we are going to transform this? Okay. How am I just going to transform this data? Just take a look at that. So the first thing I have brought a simple visual, which is the clustered column chart. So by bringing the cost in USD and the cuisine. So post which what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a filter here. I'm going to put a filter. So the moment once I click on the filter, okay, for this particular chat, the moment once I click on the filter, I could see that a lot of information has been already updated. So on the filters on this cuisines, I would say some of the cost in USD. Instead here, I'm going to just put it as, sorry, on the cuisines, I'm going to put basic filtering and put this top n, mention it as top five. Okay. By cost in USD value. Okay. And then click on OK. So what does this happen? This is giving me by cost in the USD. By cost in the USD, what are the top five cuisines for the restaurants? So which is where you are going to again witness more here. So I'm going to just do some general things on the general basic formatting here by doing this way, keeping this Calibri 10 and then bold and then red in color. And then I'm going to switch off the title for this. And similarly on the y-axis, I'm not going to put any ranges or anything. And as well, I'm also going to switch off the title. Okay. And on the value section here, the titles are switch off. Data labels, I'm just going to put a yes to the data label. Calibri, then bold. Values, we don't need to do anything here, which is fine. Grid lines are not required. Zoom slider not required. Columns. This is the column. I'm just going to put this column in red color. Let me see. Right. So this is my point. And on the data labels, position is auto. Okay, this is fine. The values, I'm just going to put this. The display units can be in thousands or none or millions or billions. So I'll just put none. All right, this is good. X-axis, I'm just going to make this color black. Okay, because everything looks so much of reddish. So I'm just changing this. Data labels also, I'll just put the data labels black and then bold and then format my visual. Instead of sum of the cost USD, I'm just going to put this average cost in the USD. So the title of this, I'm just going to mention the title of the graph, bold, and then Calibri, and then the text color. Either I can choose red or black, anything that suits, and then maybe an underline. And then I'm actually doing the visual border. Like this. So the major things that you have to focus on, how did I bring this chart, this visual? By bringing the cost in USD and then the cuisines. And then I go to the filter. Under the cuisines tab, I clicked on filter type as top and gave top 5. And then by value, I gave the, instead of some of the cost in USD, we are looking at the average USD. So we have given the average USD and then click on the apply filter. So this will give you the data. Cost in USD is some. No, this is right. So we're not filtering based upon that. So let's just leave it the same thing. Okay, just give it a try and then see if you're able to do the same thing. Okay. All right. You can share your screen, Joyce. I'll tell you. Will you be able to share your screen?
Yes. Yes, it's shared.
Right. Okay. So what we have done, we just the slicers below, right?
Yeah.
Select the slicer. Now go to the filter, right? Now instead of the filter on this visual, you bring that continent onto the page. Drag it onto the page. Yeah, you can drop it from there and put it onto the page. It's not happening. You can remove it there. Okay, fine. That will get set right. Don't worry about that.
Removed, huh?
Oh, you removed it. Control Z. Right. Just hold on. What you can do is bring the continent from the left right hand side field section and put it onto the filters on this page. Not on all the pages. You need to put it on filter on the page. Right. Now you choose the Asia within that. Right. Now select the slicer, continent slicer on the canvas. And then under the visuals, you see the fields. Under the visual field, there is a continent, right? Replace this with country, country master dot country below that. Yes. Remove the continent. Right. So now you have got the complete data. Okay.
Okay.
Now on the top, the city is there, right? City
Hmm.
also we made this as a slicer. So change the visual from table to slicer. Good. So now what you can do is you can select the slicer below and then click on the format painter and apply it on the top. It will automatically change. Now you reduce this bit little. You can still keep it lesser. You can bring it as a one line. Right. You expand this bit little. So this is there till down. Right. Now that what we have brought is we brought in the restaurant name and the aggregate rating in a table format. The one what we have done on the earlier, right? The same way. Right. So this is uh, so for the formatting, you can use a format from the previous page and then you can give a format painter to this. This will automatically gets formatted. Right. You see, this is formatted. So you can just reduce this a little bit by reducing even the columns within that so that the width and space you can reduce it so that it next. As I told you, you will spend most of your time on the formatting. That's it. You'll spend most of your time on the formatting here. So now you can reduce the slicer. So it's still, I mean, the visual, right? Very good. And then what we have done is we brought the uh, quizzins, sorry, the cost in USD onto the canvas. So this plots as a chart visual. This comes in as a chart visual usually. So here, when you brought in on the y-axis, on the x-axis, bring the quizzins. Okay. So you have brought in the quizzin. So what we have done is we wanted to again bring only the top 5 quizzins with the cost. We don't want more data here. So here on the y-axis, change this to the average cost in USD instead of the sum, right? Then there you can see on the filters visual, there you can see the quizzins has already been updated, correct? Average of the cost USD and then below is the quizzins. So click on that and then you see basic filtering. Instead of basic filtering, now we need to put it for the top 5. So you are going to use top n and then give 5. Leave the top the same, just give 5 next to that. Right, that's good. And then you're in the values. Okay, you need to bring in the cost in USD because based on the cost in USD only, we are going to do the changes here. Correct. And now click on the apply filter. Just below that, there is an apply filter option. The place where you dropped in the cost in USD. Yeah. Now this is how you can filter for the top 5.
Five or six is here.
It is showing you the 6 because if you observe the last 2, they are the same. Sometimes when you give top 5, right? The top 5 ratings may probably you might find one element or two elements also. Switch on the data label. You might understand more on this. Go to the format of this visual. Format of this visual.
Where it is?
Next to the build visual, you have the formatting, right? Right. So switch on the data label on the top down. Now, do you see the last 2 has the same values on the visual? The last 2, I mean to say, on the visual, the last 2 have the same values.
Yeah, yes.
Now you understood why there are 6 elements which have been dropped in here.
Values in the sense these two,
Yeah, those 2.
but here also having the same, no?
That's why they are 2. So they have just brought in both the values. So, okay, change the sum of cost to average cost in the USD again on the filtering where you have applied the filter. For the top five, on the filter section, below that, instead of sum of the cost USD, bring average and apply filter. The data points remain the same because they are the same. Probably I think it has given 28 as 1, 23, and then those two, and then these two. So you have got these first four elements.
Okay.
Okay, so you did only put Africa, and then there is only filter for India alone. That's why it is showing you like that. Click on the select all on the cities, please. No, 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 not there on the slicers. On the slicer, click on select all. Okay. Again, click on the select all.
Here or here?
There on the city only. Okay. And now on the countries also click on select all. Right. Select for anything. We're using the same filters, right? Continent is Asia. Filter on the visual, just remove that to count. Wait. You see that filter on this visual continent. Can you remove that, please? Yeah, just remove that. Okay. So you have filter on this visual country master country, but you have brought in on the filter page on this visual country all, right? This is absolutely okay. Can you change the second visual sum of the KPI aggregate rating to no, but everything looks good. Just a minute. Give me a control. Let me see. Looks like everything is fine. No objection, but I just wanted to see like what is still happening. Can I take a control over here? You see the control option on the top.
Control option.
Like I requested for a control. Do you see anything on the top?
Yes, allow. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is 2.56. Filter on the page is okay. Filter on all the pages is also okay. This option is good. Then what else we are doing is here. I'm going to select this as a sum of the average cost. Let's see.
Yeah.
Now you see
Yes,
it is
yes.
based upon the data it is getting updated. So not a problem. And the other formats I have just done is to remove the titles for the x-axis. Similarly, the y-axis we have switched off everything and even the title also. Okay. So now you have got a visual here like this. So you can just do a formatting on this visual by changing the colors and everything, like whatever, uh, and like with the time that you have, just you can do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just keep this little smaller so that you can adjust another thing. For example, what I am going to do is to just take this, copy, and then paste the same visual. I'm just going to put this visual down. Say I've got two visual, you will get two visuals here. Okay,
Yeah.
right. I'll stop the screen. I'll stop allowing the screen here. Okay, how about you, Lisa? Lisa, you were able to do it, or you also face any issue? Yeah, done. And now trying with my personal reports. Okay, that's good. So what I understood here, what I understood is, okay, let me share my screen back. So what I understood that you guys are now good at understanding the concepts. So the conceptual wise, how you can take it, it is easier. Now that what you also need to start focusing more is how do you actually invest your time also in um, doing some creativity. Okay, look at some crazy reports that are being created in Power BI. Okay, so once you take a look, you will get a proper understanding. See, now what I'm doing is I'm just making a copy of this visual again down. Okay, so in general, any statistics that we show, in general, any statistics that we show, usually what we do, we usually give around top five and then top four. I mean, top five and top bottom five. Okay, that is where usually people are interested about, right? So you can also do the same thing here. So what I do, again, I'm just going to put this down. And here, this is a top five. So for that, I'll go to the visualization, click on the format your visual, and then I'm going to go to the general, and on the title, I'm going to mention top five cuisines by average cost. Okay, I've just mentioned top business by average cost. And the second chat visual, what I have done, the same thing. I'm just going to do no changes, but rather what I do is I'll just go back, update this top five, and then I mean the top n, and then I'll just put bottom five, and then click on the apply filter. Okay, the bottom five, and then put on the filter, and then update the same thing on the title, bottom five cuisines by average cost. Okay. So top five and then top bottom I have given. All right, so that it looks a very, very tiny gap between these two. So I just put it that way. And if you have done this, give a try. What you are going to do is on the country filter, select any one of the filter. Okay. Let's say, for example, I'm going to select Sri Lanka. Let's say, okay. When I click on the Sri Lanka, on the left hand side, you will also see the city that I can explore is only Colombo, no other city. And the restaurants that are name of the restaurants are given here, their aggregate rating, and the top five by average cost, and then bottom five with the average cost. Matlab bottom five cuisines and the top five cuisines that are being offered. You can just see it here. So which means each of the restaurant, and again you can filter out by restaurant also. For instance, this is on the overall top five, overall top five in within Colombo. If I'm specifically looking out for one particular restaurant, I'll select one restaurant here. Okay, I'm selecting one restaurant. See, in that particular restaurant, I could see the Ministry of Crab. You can see the seafood is a top cuisine there. Seafood is a top cuisine, which has been filtered here, 19.60. So let's say if I go by the simply by strawberries, it is rated as 4.5, but that is the bottom one. It says the bottom point, it is 6.37, which there is juices and desserts are not okay. And then the butter boutique or anything you can see 4.90. I mean, the cost is the less 4.90 and the desserts are also okay. Okay. Maybe you can click on the similarly, you can again click on the India. Now, when you click on India, you will see for all the restaurants, let's say you can go to Bangalore. So you can see the Bangalore restaurants up there. You guys understood this now? Like, have you done anything? You're able to understand how you can see the statistics, right? That's a good news. Lisa, hope you're doing on your personal reports, and I believe now you're able to figure it out how you can add multiple visuals. That's wonderful. All right. So then, what else is left over? Honestly, we can, if you want, you can add a bit of information by adding more filters. For example, I have something like uh, only has an online delivery or not, has a table booking restaurant or not. So if I want to add this data here, I can add them as a slicer. Okay. So I'm going to bring the has online booking or not, change this to the slicer. And I'm not going to spend more time, as I told you, that I'm just going to use the format painter and update the slicers like this. But this time I'm just going to remove select all. Since I'm just visioning that probably it is not required for this tiny thing. So it just requires something like a title. So I'm giving the title here, online delivery. And I'm just going to keep this as a capsule like this. Online delivery, yes or no. And similarly, I'm just going to copy this visual and then paste the visual next to this. And this time I'm just going to mention, instead of online delivery, I'll mention the table booking is there or not. So I'll change the visual back to, the title table booking. Okay. So you can create a page like this and then go to the detail page. And on the Asia, instead of click on this, now you select this image, click on the action, and then give page navigation, and then select the destination as Asia. Okay. So what is going to happen? A person who lands up on this particular page, they can click on this Asia, that will take them to the Asia page directly, like this. And again, if they want to go back, they can click on this, that will take them back to the home page, or either they can click on this image, so that will take them to the detail page. Again, from here on this detail page, if I want to give an action, I can give an action to the next page by choosing this type to page navigation and then destination again as Asia. So with this, what is going to happen? It will be in a line. This is going to be just in a line. So similarly, you can create a multiple pages like Asia. You can copy this or duplicate this page, and all you will do is to change the filters from Asia to Africa. Like how? See this. I'm going to duplicate a page and I would say this is as Africa. Okay. And on the slicer I have created, I know that I put a continent Asia. So this time I'm just going to put Africa instead of Asia. And similarly, the city. Okay. You don't need to do any changes on the city, because once the data is filtered for continent, this is automatically set right. The city is already set right. All the data are being set right. So you don't need to do any formatting. Just with one simple change, All the data got reset here. That's the beauty of adding one filter, and that filter can be applied to multiple locations or multiple places. Okay. So now I believe, um, conceptual wise, you are able to understand everything. As I told you, you need to just concentrate more on the creativity bit. Okay. Just concentrate more on the creativity bit by adding more number of creativities, and look at refer some few of the reports which are being created in the Power BI reports in Google or anywhere. You'll see multiple reports in. Okay. So bring out your creativity. Just bring the creativity. That's more than enough. Remaining baki sab to remains the same. There is no challenges you are going to face. Everything remains the same. Only thing is your creativity more. Because you are learning the concepts now more and more. And now, if you have done this, I want you to create a new page and then just name it as visuals one. Because from now on, you're going to concentrate more on the visualization. Like you're going to see all the other possible visualizations that we have. This is nowhere related to the report, but we are just creating multiple visuals. And then I'll walk you through each one of the visual and what are the different points that you will remember, so that this becomes as a bible for you. Whenever you want to create any particular report, this can be used as a bible. Like if you plot a certain visual, like what are the offerings that you have, what is that you can do, and how much you can able to identify, or let's say before you even want to plot a data, you can visualize yourself how your data might look. Okay. So you'll get a feel of each one of the visual. That is what we are going to do. So on the visual one, the very first visual we are going to talk today is about the stake bar chart. Uh, Most of these charts that you might have experienced in your Excel, and you're going to get the same flavor, get repetitive. But what are the best things that you can see? You're going to witness this here. So we're talking about the stake bar chart. So I'm going to click on the stake bar chart. Okay. So the visual has been created like this in the stake bar chart. And then what is that I'm going to do on the stake bar chart? So I'm going to select this visual and then bring the y-axis. Let's say, um, let's say the cost in USD again. This time on the stake bar chart, do remember your x-axis and y-axis will be the other way around. Usually we plot the values that needs to be represented in x-axis, like month wise or continent wise or country wise or restaurant wise. And on the y-axis, we used to bring the cost, the mathematical numbers. But in stake bar chart, it will be the reverse. You're going to bring mathematical numbers on the x-axis and the text values on the y-axis. So what is it I want to bring the data? Let's say I want to bring the data for the continent on the y-axis, and then I'm going to bring the cost in USD onto the x-axis, and I'm going to bring the average. Okay, so this is the average, like Europe, Asia, Africa, NAM, SAM, whatever the sequence it has got. Or let's say if I want to put this sequence in an alphabetical order, I'm just choosing the continent. Okay, so continent in an alphabetical order, and then instead of descending, I'm just keeping it in the ascending. So this is how my stake bar chart looks like. So the moment once I plot that, what I'm doing is I'm going to just use the format what I already have done earlier. So I'm going to click on the format painter, go to the visuals page, and then apply the format here. So this is how my data gets formatted within seconds. And you can also observe the adjustments are also been happening automatically accordingly. You don't need to actually worry about that. The beauty of the Power BI is as such that you don't need to spend your time most on the formatting. But one time you do the formatting and you apply the format painter, the next time you should be able to see the format within minutes. So you can see the visual border has also been applied, everything. Give it a try and then see if you are able to do it and let me know. Sorry. Joyce, you're able to do it? Good. Right. So, so far what we have done is we created a simple stake bar chart. But again, let me also tell you what else on the stake bar chart also does. Okay, because a stake bar chart is nothing but when you are bringing more values, how your representation matters. We have just brought only one particular value, that is by the continent. We are seeing the x-axis average of the cost in the USD. Similarly, if I bring the average aggregate rating for the same, okay, the average aggregate rating for the same, so you will just see the values will be little different. So I would say instead of the sum of the KPI aggregate rating, if I put the average, you might not witness more, but this is how it looks actually. You see, this is how it looks like. You would ask me why my formatting is changed. The formatting is changed because we have added multiple values, but we have not set the format. So for a moment, if I set the format for this, How do I set the format? So the y-axis, I don't bother about it, but on the x-axis or the bars, okay, on the bars, if you look at that, I would represent the average cost in the USD by red in color and average cost in the black in color for a moment. So this is how my formatting will be maintained. And on the data labels, yes, the aggregate rating that we have brought in, if I look at the series, on the average aggregate rating, if I want the decimals to be increased, I can increase the decimal here using 22. So for that, your graph should look better. You see, this is how it should look like. So this is called the stake bar chart. So, okay, so this is called the stake bar chart. So you can observe that it is being staking. The two values that we have brought in, this is staked. Okay, so I'll not increase the size because I want to put another data also. So I'm just going to keep this revert back the same. Okay. And you might have already known about the stake bar chart, like how does it look like? Probably you might have done this in your Excel file. Now that what I'm going to do is to introduce you to a new point on the visuals. Now this visual points that you are going to see from for each of the visual, this will vary. Now, for now, we are just going to see. When I'm plotting the average cost of the USD in each of the region, suppose let's say, for example, I have a target. I do have a target. What my target say, okay, my average cost in USD should be around $10 or let's say around $15. Okay, for each of the region, I set a target that it is a $15 is my benchmark. How do I measure that? Am I crossing my benchmark? Am I within the benchmark? So for that, on the particular visual that you are looking at, so there is next to the format your visual, there is a one more point called the add further analysis to your visual. Okay, so when I click on this lens, you will see there are certain visuals or certain analysis which are being offered for each one of the visual that type that you mentioned. So this analytics line is off in world map because you don't find it in the world map. Okay, but uh, for certain visuals, there will be more analytics. For certain visuals, it will be less analytics. So for this particular visual of the stake bar chart, you have got a constant line. So let's see how this constant line will be there. Can I add one or more constant lines? Yes, you can add one or more constant lines. It is not just one. How do I add the constant line? And click on the add line. And now you can see the moment once you click on the add line, you can observe on the visual, there is a dotted line like with the blue color, which is automatically identified. So this is called the constant line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a value on the constant line. And then I would say, since my target is for 15, I've just given 15. And you can also see the same line has been updated. And you can change the color of the line, whatever the line you wish. Let's say I want to bring around green or red or black, anything that suits. Okay. Or if not, I can bring a black color line. Okay. And also I would say, instead of the dotted line, I can bring a dashed, I mean, instead of a dashed, I can bring a solid line. And this can be back end also, or like behind or a front, anything. Okay. So this is how it looks like. So if it is in front, it will also tell you the same thing. And the data label can be switch on to this. and you can see what is your data label. So someone take a look at this, immediately they can identify, oh, okay, so this is my constant line, or let's say this is my target line. When you're explaining to the audience, you can just do that. When you're explaining to the audience, you can just do it. Okay. You can give a name, constant line will be there, but I would say that just give only the data value. Unfortunately, what happens here, you will not be able to see the color, okay, the color of this. I mean, the data formatting value for this particular thing is not given. So this is a constant line looks like. And also what I'm doing, I'm going to, let me see if there is any notes I have written anywhere. Okay, I didn't write any notes anywhere. Okay, let me bring also a notes here. Like go to the insert and click on the text box. And what I would mention here on the text box, first thing, let me just write it. Staked bar chart. And this is my label. And I'm just going to put this, and I increase the font, and I'll mention this Calibri. Okay. And then I'll mention here constant constant line. The reason why I'm doing it, so that tomorrow whenever you bring this visual, you will identify, okay, if I bring a stake bar chart, so the offerings that I will be having here on this will be constant line. So now I bring this and then put it down here like this. So the moment you can see, you will identify that this is a stake bar chart, and it the offerings that it has got, it is constant line. Okay. Now you will see how fast we can just move on to the next visual once you do it. So I'm just making a copy of this and then paste it over here and then put it onto the right hand side. Okay. I'm just putting onto the right hand side. And what I do this time, instead of the staked bar chart, I'm going to just put it as a staked column chart. Okay. This is staked bar chart. I mean, the earlier one, what you have done is a staked bar chart. Now this is a staked column chart. And even on the staked column or a bar chart, you are going to witness the same thing, that you will have one single analytics line, which is constant line. Okay, there is only one constant line, which is, so I can, even if I bring the format, the numbers, I mean, the bars are not changing, but you can change the bars here. If you want, you can change the bars here. Instead of bars here, you are going to see the columns. So you can mention this as a red, and then you can mention the other thing as a blank. So this is what the stake bar chart and stake column chart looks like. And the offerings that you'll be having here is a constant line. So as I told you that moving forward, you might see a different kinds of visuals, and these offerings will keep changing here and there. Just mention this as a visuals one, or if not, if you still want to have more precise over that, so you can just put bar or column. Bar or column one, so that you can straightly refer to this particular visual and then see how the visual looks like if you want to plot with your data. Take few minutes, just try to plot this and then let me know if you're able to do the same thing. Oh yeah, definitely, Lisa. You can take this as a, I mean, you can take this as a homework and then probably whenever you have got the free time, you can just do it. Okay. So I'll stop it here. Okay. I'm sharing, I'm just saving the file. I'm saving the file. I'll stop it here. Okay. And you will receive the same thing once after our complete training session gets completed. You will receive this whole thing so that you will also have a practice for you guys. Okay. Um, okay. So I hope that any questions before we wrap it up? Joyce. All right. Sounds good. Yeah, of course, you need more practice. All right. Sounds good. All right. Take care, guys, and then we'll meet up the next week. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.